Get myself right up on out of here. I feel like a disgrace, I'm not really what I appear. I go home to my girl and I make nicey nice. The fact that she don't know that I just put someone on. I don't like being here. I constantly live in fear. Could be gone at any time. When you live a life of crime, face the music, do the time. I'm trapped again, and fate as always hasn't wrapped again. I always get caught in my life of sin, but I just keep on going back again. You know I'm lost again, when all I wanted was to find a friend. Someone that I can always depend on to help me find my life again. You know I'm trapped again.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to After the Dragon, presented by Mayhem Media. I am your host, JD, alongside Mizpah, my co-host for this series. House of the Dragon, Season 2, Episode 1 just ended. So we're going to talk about a few things of that episode. We're not going to just regurgitate it or, we're just going to talk about a couple of key points. Thank you for everybody who's tuning in right now. Please take a moment and hit that like button right now. And feel free to leave a comment on anything you'd like to discuss or anything we're discussing, and we will talk about it during the episode. Mizpah, welcome back. Season 2. It's been a long wait, right?
Yeah, it's been a really long time. Honestly, I kind of had to get caught up a little bit because I'd forgotten pretty much everything at this point.
Yeah. So in the first season, where we left off was the beginning of the war. We saw the fight between Aemond and Vagar against the queen's son, Lucerys, and I can't remember the name of his dragon. I'm sorry, I can't remember the name of his dragon. And the scene ended with him getting bit in half. So the queen is obviously distraught. She's obviously riding her dragon around and looking for her son's remains. She needs to bury something, obviously, as we found out from Princess Rhaenys when she spoke with Daemon Targaryen, which was interesting. Daemon trying to lead the war there at the beginning. And how about the new opening? Actually, before we even get into that new opening for this,
I liked it. I thought it was pretty neat.
Yeah, I think it was good that they changed the opening for the season. I think that was a good move to make. And then we start off with actually Castle Black. We don't even know that the queen's mourning and roaming around. We go to Castle Black. We thought it was going to be Winterfell. That was the rumor. We saw Winterfell, but we did not actually go there. He was speaking to, we don't know which Stark. We know it's a member of the Stark family. We know he's the Lord Commander of the Night's Watch currently, but we don't know anything else. That's all.
They actually did give his name towards the end of the episode, but it escapes me at the moment.
Oh, you're right. You're right. They did. And I forgot. I did not write that down. I should have. The ending was getting serious, though. How about Alicent and Cole? Queen Alicent and her King's Guard, Sir Criston Cole. They're getting busy.
Well, we saw that coming.
Yeah, I guess a lot of people probably did. Aegon certainly was. I saw him when he was on the in the council and when he was on the throne, man, he was making some quick decisions, but he wasn't necessarily thinking them all through, was he?
No, he's definitely got a little bit of lack of experience and lack of. He comes across as a very young king.
Yeah. And actually, that leads me to how about Laris, Lord Laris Strong? Looks like he was maybe, you think he's making the play for hand? He was talking to the king about how his grandfather, was Viserys's hand, and that he probably needs select a new hand. You think Laris is playing for that spot?
Honestly, that didn't even cross my mind. But I could definitely see where you're going with that. Looking back, that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, that would certainly be interesting too. Laris rising up the ladder there. Kristen Cole is also Lord Commander now. Otto Hightower called him Lord Commander when he was sitting and talking with Aemond when they were planning how they were going to handle battles and strategy and stuff. Anything to bring up there?
Actually, that I completely missed that. That sailed right over my head.
So what do you think about, well, how do you think it's going to go with the Queen and the Lord Commander banging? Because they were also banging at the end of the episode when the Queen ran in after how about that? How about Daemon's plan to go kill everybody? Sorry, I'm jumping all over the place here, but.
Oh yeah, well, I think with the boy being killed, I think that's going to cause a lot of turmoil. You're going to be bringing more people into the fight, and there's going to be a battle on more than just one front.
Yeah, I think that's just going to elevate it. How about the Queen? I mean, the Queen, like, having to decide or like point out the eldest son is crazy. I mean, she's a little nutty. We know that. She's also a little bit of a prophesizer. We know from the first season too. But yeah, that was crazy. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe they actually succeeded too. I mean, and that's not what the Queen wanted. The Queen wanted Aemon's head, not one of the other princes, not one of the children. I'm thinking that Queen Rhaenyra is going to have a big problem with this. That's what I'm thinking.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think killing kids was going to be in her part of her plan, which definitely elevates it. When you start killing children, that escalates it to a different level. It's not just war now. Now you're killing children. Although I guess, I mean, Queen Rhaenyra's child was killed too.
Yeah.
But she specifically asked for Aemon's head. She did not say, bring me a son for a son. She said Aemon's head, which was the only word she spoke in the episode.
Yeah, and I think that's, again, this killing the son's going to fracture any alliances. There's going to be less support, I suspect.
Yeah, I think Damon's plan of sending them in there and that whole thing is not going to work out well. I think he's going to be on the outs with Queen Rhaenyra now too. I think that's going to put him on the outs with her.
I think that's going to put him on the outs with a lot of people.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Daemon character, but man, he's gung ho about it.
But on the flip side, that might give him some leverage with some people who are kind of working in the underground scene.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, maybe you know the answer to this. What the hell was the dog's role? What was the point of the dog? And like, I get, okay, the rat traps, like there's a rat problem in it. Apparently, there was a reference to rats in the episode, more than one. And something tells me that there's a metaphorical, that's just as much metaphorical as anything else. On the other hand, the queen, who's a little bit nutty, who I'm drawing a blank on her name right now too, man. I got to make a list. That's it for episode 2. A lot of improvements coming for episode 2 if you're watching this one. But could that have been more prophecy? She said about there's a rat problem, and the king said, where are the rats? And then later on, they are, actually having people in with traps to get all the rats. So is that prophesizing, or is that like a metaphorical thing about rats in the castle?
I took that more metaphorically.
Yeah, me too. I mean, it looks like apparently there is a legitimate problem with rats in the castle, but I think there's also a metaphorical problem with rats in the castle as well.
Yeah, and I think that the dog, thinking about that for a minute, terriers were actually bred back in like medieval times to be rat dogs. That was kind of their
so the
job.
dog was to pose as them being rat catchers.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. I don't get the scene of kicking the dog in the rib cage and punting it across the room. Do you get that?
I think it was to show his frustration, but I didn't think it was needed, quite honestly.
That's what I'm saying. I think it was completely unnecessary to have a scene in there where he kicks the dog. I'm not trying to be one of those PETA guys. I mean, I get that animals have their place and stuff, and certainly within TV shows. And it's just a TV show. I'm sure he didn't actually kick the dog. But to me, I don't know. It seemed unnecessary. It just seemed unnecessary. It didn't really show me anything. Like it did. Like that dude already seemed like a dude who is willing to chop a kid's head off anyway. I don't think kicking the dog added to that.
Yeah, I didn't see any value there.
Yeah, and of course, then they cut the kid's head off. How about that for the end?
Yeah, and in typical, Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon fashion, it's leaving you with a cliffhanger.
Yeah, on a brutal note. I mean, they ended last season with dragon being bitten in half and the kid being chomped to death. Being eaten by the dragon, and then here we start with chopping a kid's head off. And of course, last season with the whole fight scene with the kids when it was like Fight Club.
And you had mentioned about Lord Varys, I think is his name.
No, Larys.
Larys.
Yeah, Larys Strong.
Larys, that's it. Yeah, he definitely gives me a Littlefinger vibe.
Yeah, definitely. I think they're trying to. I think he's trying. Yeah, I think there's like a significance there too. Yeah. But I mean, even just like you could say the same thing for Otto Hightower, that he's a similar to Tywin Lannister, but they're different characters. They're similar, like their style of character, but they're different. Certainly, Larys and Littlefinger might be the closest, maybe. I mean, Littlefinger never cut a bunch of people's tongues out, so they couldn't say what they did. So that's what I'm saying. Larys seems like he's a little bit more on the extreme side than Littlefinger was.
Yeah, but I do think there are going to be a lot of parallels there as well.
Yeah.
I think that's going to follow through with his character into later episodes.
Yeah. All right, let's spend just another minute speculating on what the next episode might bring, and then we're going to close this episode out. These aren't supposed to be long, just a quick talk. And, if you're watching this and it's not live, if you're watching a replay of this, please leave some comments and come back and watch us next week and, get some viewer interaction. We'd love to have some viewer interaction with this series. So what do you think? I think the next season, I think it's going to be just be an escalation. I think we'll actually see. My biggest thing is, you think we'll see acts of war or just more talk and planning of war yet?
So I think what we're going to see is, at this point, like, everybody's going to be starting to look at everybody a little differently. You're going to start seeing fractures in relationships and new alliances forming. And I don't think you're going to see any real acts of war yet. But I do think you're going to start seeing, things starting to break down and, starting to see a little bit of shifts of power.
I think
that's what I'd say.
I think even whether Queen Rhaenyra is going to be happy about it or not. I don't think she is. But the fact is that it was still a move done on her side. Just as nobody wanted Aemond to kill Luke. You know what I mean? Nobody, that's not what anybody wanted. You could see that Aemond faced a lot of criticism and a lot of stuff with that. So, this was like this was potentially like the same act. It was a response, both not approved by whoever was in charge, and both done recklessly and hastily without actually thinking about the ramifications of it. And now there is not going to be no going back. And I think we will see an escalation. I don't know if we're going to see. I could see it potentially moves being made, but no actual major battle or combat yet. I think that we end next week's episode with that, just like how the way we kind of ended this week's episode, except it being a battle, like an attack, like a dragon attacking a town or a stronghold or a city or something. And I think that'll be the start of the actual escalation.
All right.
So last question. How long do you think it'll take to see some dragons fight each other? Let's do a prediction on what episode we think we'll see some dragons fighting each other.
Well, I mean, I feel like we already did see a little bit of dragon fighting.
That was in the first season. When now in the second season do you think we'll see it? It was all the way at the end, literally the second to last scene of season 1 that we saw dragons messing with each other in a combat kind of way. So how long do you think it'll take in season 2 to get there?
I think at least midway through the season.
Episode 5 or so, probably.
Yeah, because at this point, everybody's still kind of, we don't want a war of dragons. We don't want a war of dragons.
Yeah, but see, that's what I'm saying. I think this recent act, the way we ended the episode, is going to be an escalation, I think. But I do think you're right. I don't think we'll actually see dragon on dragon until about episode 5 or so is what I think. That's also kind of what I'm thinking. Episode 4 or 5, maybe 6 is when I'm thinking we'll actually maybe see some dragons fight each other. I don't expect that we'll see the battle with Vhagar, and I don't know Daemon's dragon's name either, but that's something we'll set up for the next episode, is having a list of the character names and their dragons. But
I'm thinking it'll get to a point to where somebody sees that there's no other option but to begin a war of dragons.
Yeah. Or do you think it'll be another accident, the way the first 2 acts have almost been? I mean,
no, it's not going to be an accident. It's going to be a blatant decision on somebody's part.
Okay. All right. I would also agree. I think midway through the season is when we'll see some dragon action, and we'll start getting to some real battles also. I don't know how many they'll actually show on the series. I imagine a few battles we'll get to hear the reports or see the aftermath, but I don't imagine we'll get to see every battle that's going to happen. But I do expect to see some battling and some dragons battling by midway through the season. That's what I think. So things have started off hot right away. I honestly thought there was going to be a little bit more build in the season. I didn't expect to end the episode 1 with a child getting their head cut off. So we're definitely, we hit the ground running.
Yeah, I expected that. I mean, you see, look at Game of Thrones.
Yeah, but still.
And look at how season 1 started. So they almost had to start off, with a lot of action to begin with.
Yeah, well, that's.
But I look forward to next week. I think it's going to be another action-packed episode, and I think there's going to be a lot of chaos.
Yeah, I also think so. A lot more responding, and then until it builds up to the dragons. That's where I foresee it going. So, and I'm so interested in the queen, not Queen Rhaenyra, the other queen, because she's almost like she's prophesized things. I'm very interested to see where her story is going to go. Leave us a comment for the next episode about who your favorite character is or whose story you're most interested in at the moment. And we'll talk about it in the next episode. And look for us next week. We'll be back about 15 minutes to about 15 to 20 minutes after each episode ends. It'll be about 10:15 to 10:20 when we go live. Some of the episodes we know we're going to be running a little over an hour. So look for us, 15 to 20 minutes after the episode ends. And we'll be back every week with After the Dragon. And next week will have its own entrance and exit, but for some strange, crazy reason, I could not find any of my After the Dragon files anywhere on my hard drives. I have no idea where they are or what happened to them. So I'm going to make new entrants, new exits for After the Dragon for next episode. And until then, we're going to use the Mayhems. Thanks for tuning in. Anything else you want to add, Mizpah?
No, I think I'm good.
All right. Well, then stay tuned next week for us, and stay tuned to Mayhem Media for all of your episodes. We had a big weekend. This capped off a huge Mayhem Media weekend. So if you haven't seen some of the episodes, go check out some of the episodes that we had this past weekend, including Mike D. Shout out Mike D. Wrestling from the 313. I was on an episode with him. So make sure you give that episode a watch. Oh, there's Joe Monroe just as we're closing out. The Joe Monroe Show. He's part of Mayhem Media. Go check him out. The Joe Monroe Show on YouTube and on Facebook, and soon to be on Rumble. Until next week, Mizpah, I am the host, JD, and that's the end.
Good night.